Thank you for joining Sea Love Yoga, and let's go to Pohkara, Nepal. Our journey from Lumbini to Pohkara, Nepal was about a 7-hour trek in this, what I would call a hippie trail bus. And it was actually a very large bus, and it had these big cushiony leather seats, but the bus did not have suspension. So it was a very bouncy ride through the Himalayan hills, and it was a little scary because the road was narrow. And so to make sure that someone wasn't coming around the corner, the bus driver had to honk. And then there was one guy that would get out of the bus and run ahead and look to make sure the coast was clear. That happened a couple of times. Anyway, it is one of those bus rides that I will never forget in my entire life. So Pokhara is a tourist city for Nepal, and it's known for being the gateway to the Annapurna base camp for those trekkers that are climbing the Himalayas.
But right now it is not monsoon, which is why the water is on this river is very low. But in the monsoon, 4 times higher it's bigger. It will be bigger. And in the monsoon, also in few places like a mudslide also happen there, but only in the monsoon.
What's the name of the river?
This one.
Yeah.
So this one is also part of Gandaki River. Gandaki. But the main Gandaki River is very big. It's also called Kali Gandaki Krishna. Have you ever heard that? Kali Gandaki.
I think this was about the time in my journey that I texted my husband that I love him, and if I don't make it through this bus ride, that I will meet up with him in the next life. But we did have these itty bitty bananas, and that really kind of helped make things better. Pokhara reminds me a lot of what Gatlinburg, Tennessee is like to the United States. You know, Gatlinburg is like the gateway to the Smoky Mountains, and then Pokhara has the same kind of feel, being the gateways to the Himalayas. And it is located on this scenic lake, which is really cool. And it has a lot of touristy stores and different activities to do, like kayaking on the lake or boating. Also, there's some zip lining that you can do, or you could even get some trekking gear and go hiking in the mountains. It is also a location of a World Peace Pagoda, just like the ones that we saw in Lumbini, Nepal.
So we've seen two.
Yeah. So we saw the World Peace one yesterday, and then this is the second World Peace one. Cool. Pokhara is also known for a place to do yoga retreats, and we did meet a lot of like-minded folks here. And I was introduced to some Nepalese cuisine that is very delicious, and the one of my favorites is called momos, and they're like these steamed dumplings. And I have changed to a vegetarian diet, and I have found it so easy to follow that plan in India and now in Nepal. One of the popular things to do is go up the mountainside in the early morning at sunrise, and it's a beautiful view to be able to see the mountain range of the Himalayas. Unfortunately, the weather has been overcast and foggy, so we were not able to see the mountain range, but it was still a beautiful view. Now I am going to talk about something serious. In 1959, Tibetans had a fear that China was going to abduct the 14th Dalai Lama. Not only that, the Chinese occupation was suppressing the Tibetan culture, and the Tibetans believed that the 17-point amendment was broken, which was an amendment to preserve Tibetan culture and allow them to have their local government. So they protested at this place called Lhasa, and it was very violent and it was unsuccessful for the Tibetans, and it forced the Dalai Lama to exile into India, and it allowed the Chinese to occupy fully. Many of the monks were executed, and a majority of the monasteries were destroyed or looted, and many Tibetans fled and became refugees in Nepal and India. And when they originally fled, they had to go across the Himalayas, and many of them received severe frostbite. Some of them didn't make it. It was a very treacherous journey. But Nepal established refugee camps for them, and those camps went from tents to buildings that were built, and now they are settlements for the Tibetan refugees. Tibetans were highly skilled in weaving rugs and making jewelry, and that is what they do now to make a living. What you see here is a Tibetan woman working with the yarn that is used to make the Tibetan rugs. And you know I'm a sucker for a good inspirational quote, and these were written on the walls of the workshop. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. And the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. And lastly, we travel not to escape life, but for life not to escape us. And then we got to tour the showroom where they had all of the finished carpets that were available for purchase. And let's take a moment for this disclaimer before I show you the next image. Surprise! I bought a Tibetan rug, and it is so beautiful, and it has a phoenix on it, and it is going to fit perfectly in our hallway. And my husband doesn't know this yet, but it will be delivered soon. And I bought some jewelry and some crocheted items from the ladies at the market. And this particular lady was so adorable, and she had the most heartwarming story about her father and her as they made their way to the refugee camp. And her father had a wooden shoe measurement device, and he said that when there's a hard time, they can always use this device to make shoes for a living. After our group was done, she had said to us that this has been a lucky day for me, and it made my heart feel warmth that I could help her, and grateful for the goods that she produced. And next we walked to a underground cave that was directly under the city. It's like they built this city on top of this cave. And this building signifies a snake that's going down into the cave with the spiral staircase, and that is how you actually get to the cave, by going down these stairs. Within the cave, there is something called a Shiva Lingam, and what a lingam is a symbol or a sign that represents, like in this case, Lord Shiva. And because this cave had a naturally formed lingam of Lord Shiva, it was considered a sacred site. And pictures were not allowed, so I can't show you what it looked like. But this is the statue that's outside of the cave that kind of gives you an idea of what was seen with the natural Shiva lingam that's inside. I can tell you that it didn't really look like this, and you have to use your imagination, but this is what it was supposed to look like. And this depiction of Lord Shiva with the 7-headed snake canopy is called the Nagalinga. Snake, 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 snake. And this is not the Shiva Lingam because I couldn't take a picture of it, but this is something special that was some kind of altar within the cave. But from afar, it looked like this was a dude standing there with a yellow shirt. You might say, Cindy, are these stalactites or stalagmites? And I would tell you that they are stalactites because they hang from the ceiling and they don't come up from the ground. Now, the special part about this cave is you can get a nice view of the Davies waterfall. Just like Rocky Balboa, I climbed up all of these snake stairs. Dun-dun-dun, 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 dun-dun-dun. And this picture is of a ficus tree by Ganesh, and it's an inside family joke about a ficus tree. I mean, if you know, you know. And actually, the Davies waterfall has a sad story behind it because in the 1960s, there was a Swiss tourist, Mrs. Davis, and she was swimming above the waterfall with her husband, but the current took her, and unfortunately, she drowned. But the waterfall was then named after her. So if you come out of the snake cave and you walk across the busy city street, you can go to the entrance of another little park that will show you the waterfall from a different angle. And the next place we stopped on our tour for the day was the Helping Hands Handicraft. And this was a tour of the workshop of the organization that was created to help the deaf and the mute. Provides the resources, the workspace for them to use their skills in creating their handicrafts, such as weaving rugs or painting art or making pashminas or wool sweaters or keychains or jewelry. And then it also has a gift shop where you can purchase these goods to better support the organization. And you know how I'm always like, open your eyes because you can see love everywhere. And we were walking the busy streets, and there was this sweet little girl that has pictured right here, and she was giving us the namaste symbol, which means that the God in me honors the God in you. And thank you for continuing this journey with me into Nepal. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and always see more love.